Ooh, mini smartphones. I know you guys love these mini smartphones, especially on this channel. You want to know who loved mini smartphones even more than you guys? 2009. Back in 2009, mini smartphones were the hippest, coolest, most high-tech buzz, and everybody was jumping in on that train. You had HTC, Sony Ericsson, even Apple themselves. And today we're going to talk about one of those mini smartphones, and it's called the HTC Tattoo. And although it was a cool, hip mini smartphone, holy smokes, this thing pissed a lot of people off. And today we're going to talk about some of the reasons why. Now, as of this year, this device is 14 years old. With that being said, I'm curious to know if I could make phone calls and text on this still with a modern SIM card from T-Mobile. What do you guys think? Go ahead and comment below if you think it'll still work on a modern day T-Mobile SIM card, and if you're right, I'll enter you into a drawing to give this phone away. But we'll test this out later in the video. Before we get to that part, I want to talk about why they called this thing the HTC Tattoo, and this is groundbreaking. So make sure you're sitting down before I tell you this, because this is really going to blow your mind. They called it the HTC Tattoo because you could have these interchangeable skins, which were basically cases, and switch them out. So really, the term tattoo signified that the smartphone was a bit more customizable than other options at the time. I think it's safe to say that the phone case craze had not yet taken off, obviously. The name was really meant to convey the idea that users could ink their own style onto the device by selecting different designs, skins, and themes to make it their own, really. Even the phone software itself came with some level of customization, with something called HTC Sense UI and Scenes. Scenes was unique because it allowed the user to go in and fully customize the entire screen. As you can see here, I have a play home screen saved, and it essentially adds personality to the device, which in 2009, that was fairly new. Another cool feature I'll tell you about before we get into the reasons why you've probably never heard of the HTC Tattoo and why most people didn't really love it, the feature I wanted to tell you guys about was called HTC Footprints, which in 2023 would essentially be just an app you can download on the Play Store or the App Store. But this application was essentially designed for someone who was traveling around and wanted to have a way to make essentially a travel journal. So you could go and, let's say, take a photo at a park, and you could save this place. You could also do the same thing with dining, or you could do the same exact thing with a place that you go shopping, and it would correlate to a photo. What's interesting about this is in 2023, you could just go download an application on the Play Store or the App Store and it would do the same thing, but back in 2009, it was obviously a different era and HTC was trying something new. I'm sure the HTC Tattoo had some influence on the general smartphone market to increase the level of customization in general. Unfortunately, the HTC Tattoo was far from being a hit in the smartphone market, and I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of you have never even heard of the HTC Tattoo. It just didn't sell very well, and I believe that was based on 4 primary reasons. The first reason being its software, which did not update past Android 2.2. When it was rolled out on Android 1.6. I actually found some forums online where people were still using this device in 2017 and 2018, and it still had received no updates. It was stuck at Android 2.2. That means this guy in 2017 or 18 was using Android 2.2 while the rest of the world was on Android 8. Oh man, that sucks. The second reason I feel like the HTC Tattoo failed was because of its price point. This was rolled out as a budget option, but in 2009, you had the release of the original Samsung Galaxy, which cost $399, the original iPhone 3GS at $699, and then on the budget end of the spectrum, you had the Motorola Droid at $199 and the BlackBerry Bold 9700 at $199, and then you had the HTC Tattoo at $300, which based on market feedback to its low specs and low performance, $300 was not worth the investment for what the HTC Tattoo had to offer. And lastly, before we get into testing this device on a modern day SIM card with calls and texts, the third and fourth reason on why this smartphone failed was 3, because of its small screen size, and 4, because of its resistive touch screen. Okay, so the touch screen on this bad boy is 2.8 inches, and I've actually used smartphones with smaller screens than this as a daily driver, and it wasn't an issue. I was able to use the smartphone for everything that I needed it for, but I feel like the HTC Tattoo is a bad user experience because it's a small screen paired with a resistive touch screen. If you've never used a resistive touchscreen, it's the worst thing since farting in the shower. Resistive touchscreens just aren't very easy to use with the human finger. If you've ever used those old Palm computers and they had the stylus that you like press down in order to use, you could feel there's an air gap between the two layers of the screen. It's the same type of screen that the old smart boards in middle and elementary school are. You go up to draw something on the smart board or to do an equation, and you write on the left side of the screen, and the writing shows up on the right side of the screen just because resistive touch screens are all out of whack. Capacitive touch screens are what most smartphone manufacturers were using even in 2009. Both screens are laminated together, and you don't need a stylus in order to get a touch response. I mean, look at me trying to use the Tattoo. You have to press down and swipe, and as you're scrolling all the time, you get false presses onto applications. With a mini screen like this, it makes the entire user experience extremely frustrating, and I'm not even using this as a daily driver. I'm just making a video on this, so I could imagine how people felt back in the day. Altogether, back in 2009, this phone totally flopped, but I'm curious to know, can we make phone calls and send text messages in 2023? So let's go ahead and test that now. Okay, so first we're going to have to take off the back cover, and I do have to say I miss this with old smartphones, how they were so modular. I actually went to T-Mobile to get a mini SIM. That's the pink and black portion you see here. And then I inserted my nano SIM into the middle. And then we're going to put it into this SIM tray, which is absolutely gargantuan. Look how big this thing is compared to SIM cards we use today. Then we push it back down, and it clips down pretty easily. All right, let's power this thing back on and see if we can get a cellular connection. Oh, look at the little Android bugs. They're so cute. So it took a minute for it to start up, but oddly, I'm seeing bars right here, and it looks like we're actually connected to T-Mobile, which is very interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and call my mom and see if a call could go through. So this is crazy. The call went through, it's ringing, but I can't turn it on speaker for you guys to hear, and my mom didn't pick up. So I actually called my wife, and a call went through, and she heard me just fine, clear as day, which is pretty amazing in my opinion with this phone being 14 years old. So I went over to the text messaging application and put my wife's phone number in, and I sent her a text. Now, what's really cool is you could toggle between regular texting and T9 Word, and for those of you that have used T9 Word, this was a major flashback, and I actually really enjoyed using T9 Word. So I sent "this is a test" message to my wife, went ahead and pressed send, and there you have it. Amazingly, it went through. And just a few minutes later, she responded. I got a text on a 14-year-old smartphone, and she actually told me that we're eating chicken stroganoff tonight, so that's a double whammy good news. Amazingly, the device is usable today. So those of you who were right in the comments and said that this would work, I'm going to enter you into a giveaway, and we'll announce that in the next video. Although we're able to make phone calls and send text messages, the majority of the applications like YouTube on this device are deemed useless. I'm trying to get YouTube to load here, but as you can see, I'm having no luck. I would say if you're looking for a dumb phone that's going to restrict you to just text message and phone calls, I feel like this would be a pretty good option. But don't worry, the camera works, and it calls for a great flashback of nostalgia when you record any video with this smartphone. Oh yeah, I just got the new HTC
Tattoo. I'm having so much fun uploading
And there you have it. That's probably why you've never heard of the HTC Tattoo. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to subscribe, and we also have channel memberships for just $2.99 if you'd like to go live with me and connect on socials. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.